All right, here we go. askSlim Live, December 22nd, 2020. Information and support for traders and investors in a time of crisis and beyond. Got a little bit to clean up here as we look at the legal stuff. Everything that we bring you at askSlim.com is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not investment advice. Everything we do here, whether it's oral, written, video, any way we bring anything to you, is for discussion with your investment advisor and to make a well-informed decision. So please do consult your professional before making trading decisions. The live events that we're doing now is held as support for members and are not included in the memberships. We've been doing them since I think it's March, when everything went a little crazy in the markets and COVID started to hit, and there's been demand for it. Especially gives us a good opportunity to bring a lot of information to our members, especially new members. These events are likely to be recorded. We are recording now, and it may be offered for public viewing. We'll do everything always we can to protect your identity. We never share information with third parties. But we cannot keep you entirely anonymous because this is recorded. So your participation in this event is acknowledgement that you understand and agree. Please refer to our terms, disclaimers, legal information at askSlim.com. Your hosts today, well, you have the three analysts here at askSlim.com. We're lucky enough to have three analysts here that have something like 77 years total of analytical experience. I've been in it 46 years, a professional stock, futures, and options trader, cycle analyst, past investment manager, host at askSlim on Tasty Trade. Did that for 3.5 years, and now it's been over 5 years here at askSlim. Past member of the CBOE, Chicago Board of Trade, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and one of the very first people that left the floor and became a screen trader. Matt, 20-year technical analyst, a protege of mine, graduated from my coaching program, former managed broker, COO, and Director of Product Innovation at askSlim.com. R.V. Ramachandran, 9 years now, I think it's actually 10, in the investment industry, has a bachelor's degree from Boston College, managed their endowment fund there at Boston College, and completed the CFA, so he is well credentialed, 7 years now with me. He's Vice President of Business Strategy and Lead Cycle Analyst at askSlim.com. He has now become one of the foremost experts on cycle analysis in the world. He and Matt are going to be taking over for me as I fade off into the sunset, whenever that comes here at askSlim.com. So these are the guys. Here's our agenda for today. I want you to test out your raise your hand right now, so we know that you know how to do that. Great. So people raising their hands, and you can put those down. And now I'm going to ask people to raise their hand if they're the first time that they have been at an askSlim live event. And we don't have anybody. Is that right? Here we go. Some hands going up now. Some first timers. All right. We have, now there's a number of them putting up their hands. We have, of course, our special going on here at the end of the year where you could give the gift of askSlim. So we have quite a number of people that have never been to the askSlim site before that are really seeing the extent of what we bring to you. So today I'm going to bring you a market brief technical analysis on the stock indexes. That's going to be a longer one than I normally bring. Then Matt is going to lead helpful tips and answers to the frequently asked questions, and you're going to get the answers to tips and insights to commonly asked questions at askSlim on askSlim services and content. And then we'll have our express round where we're going to fly through a bunch of your questions. And then we're going to show you chart analysis, or if you have questions on trade planning or trading issues, we have amazing trade planning things coming up that we're going to show you, not today, but we have some just, I'm telling you, I've been looking at this development of this stuff, and I don't know where you're ever going to get such good trade planning tools as we're going to be bringing to you very, very soon. Remember, we have a Q&A on here, so all of your questions should go in the Q&A. And we have a chat in there if you have any, just highs and buys and those type of things. So put your questions into the Q&A, and I'm going to answer a lot of them here as I get to the charts, because we're going to start off looking at something that I never start off with when I do this market analysis, and that is the Apple chart. Now, there's a reason I'm bringing you Apple right now. First of all, interesting day for Apple. It had a sizable update, up 2.85%. It was up a little bit more. The reason the buying came in was because, well, they're essentially saying, or somebody reported that they're going to be coming out with an iCar. Well, it's not something you wear on your wrist, that's for sure, or you plug in your ears. But it is going to be something that is going to drive you somewhere, because obviously you won't have to drive it anymore, because it is proposed to be a self-driving electric car. And what we're looking at now is the commoditization of electric vehicles, as we have so many companies now that are coming into it. And we'll see when that competition really hits the immensely priced Tesla. So the reason I bring this now when I'm talking about the markets is because what I want you to see is the timing in here. Now, this blue cycle right in here, well, this is what we call the dominant cycle. There's also a smaller cycle that you can see, and a cycle is measured from low to low. It is a repeating rhythm, like an oscilloscope, where there's a reason for it going up and the reason for it going down. I mean, for a heart monitor, it has your heart pumps, and this is considered to be the heartbeat of the stock market. This blue dominant cycle right over here is one we've been tracking on the index charts. So I wanted to start with you to show you that what we had anticipated was there was a low in Apple right at this timing right over here. These haven't budged for weeks, and you can see where the low came right over here. Notice these green arrows. What they're showing you is configurations on these cycles that are positive. Now, normally a positively configured cycle is a cycle that makes a higher high and then a higher low, and then a higher high and then a higher low. The only time it doesn't do that is when you have a triangular shape that is being created, which generally when you come out of the triangle, you come out in the direction you went in. So I'm not exactly sure how to draw it. You could really draw it like this, you can see, and then tie these bottoms right over here. So it actually broke out, a couple of weeks ago. You could say that, well, maybe it didn't break out till it got above the resistances, but you get the idea that there's a bullish triangle in there that broke out. And then when it does that, that's when it challenges the high. So the old high right over here, you can see we have it marked off all-time high, which is at around 138 up there. And you can see our projection takes it up to 138 because it's pretty likely it's going to try to get up there. And you'll note that I have it projected up here into the second, third week of January, and there's a reason for that. And when I get to the VIX analysis, you're going to understand it, because there's a nesting of cycles for the low in the VIX that comes in the third week of January. So we're going to be attuned to that second, third week of January to where these rallies are likely to stop. So we're looking at this right over here. Remember this cycle, because that's the cycle we've had on the indexes. I'm just going to highlight this for you to see, and you will see the timing on there of that cycle right there was 1029 to 1215. And I'm going to show you that now on the indexes, just so you get a better sense for the quality of these cycles. You can see these rhythms as they go way back over here, how the timing on it has been pretty spectacular. As a matter of fact, if I go to the weekly chart right over here, you will see that the timing here is also really crazy good, made up of 3 minor cycles in this harmonic family, which looks like, we're letting it come up somewhere into here until the second, third week of January. And then this cycle that you see on the bottom right over there, the minor third, starts to come down. And that's when we think the topping will go on. So I jumped way out of what I wanted to discuss right over here. Again, we're looking at this cycle right over here, 1029 to 1215. Now we'll look at the S&P 500. And here's that Apple cycle right there. You can see 1029 to 1215. We've had that in there the whole time. And we said that, well, that's the time when we expected the market to come down and make a low. Now, the question is in our mind, because this cycle is extremely short, is that it? Did we get that overnight panic and that's all there is? or is it going to come down and test these right over here to what was the normal cycle lengths and then begin to go up? I'll tell you, I don't know the answer to that. There's no way that we could know the answer to that, but I could tell you one thing, and that is Apple bottomed, then it went up, and the stock market was not able to follow it on the upside today. So relative to what has been a leader in the stock market, Apple, the stock market did not do that well today. So that's a look at this. Now, what that essentially says to me is that either this is the low, which comes right into the support zone, or it comes down sometime through the close to the end of the year and tests those lows right in there, and then probably begins to move up. I can't build the cycle structure in here until I know the anchor point. And when we get to the end of the year, and Arvi and I have discussed this a number of times, that there's so much swapping of money, swapping of positions, tax implications, reallocations, that the end of the year is crazy. I'll tell you the truth, and that is for many, many years, I didn't work from December 15th to January 7th for this reason. I always took 3 weeks off, left the pit, and didn't trade because of how crazy it was, and that the cycles were always difficult, and I needed to wait for a reset. So I'm not 100% sure. Did we make the low, or is that the low price? And we're going to come down and test it. I don't see it getting a lot worse than that in this environment. But there you get a look at the S&P 500. You're going to get a little help when you look at some of these other indexes. And also at when I look at the VIX. So here you can see the same thing, but I want you to know the Nasdaq is stronger. So again, I have Apple on there. You could see the Apple low comes right in over here, and then it's been moving up. But Apple moves to a high, the Nasdaq has not been able to in the last couple of days. So it's actually not acting that great. Now I want you to look here on the bottom. You can see the slim ribbon PO giving you these bullish signals right in here. It's green from this point right here. These are all bullish signals. This is a bullish confirmation. What those tell you is that momentum stays strong, and those are locations where you can buy or add if you so believe that your position or trading style warrants it. If I go back and I look at the S&P 500, I meant to show you that, and I look on the bottom, you will see in here something similar where you get those same signals in there. And the slim ribbon PO is one of the best indicators I think you will ever see. Now, when I go to the Russell RUT, I'm just staying on the daily right now so you could see this. You can see the same thing. It just was bullish for a longer period of time and giving you all of those positive readings that you can see on the bottom there. And again, we're looking at the same thing right over here, that it might come down over there. This one is far more reliable. You could see the minor cycle right here. We believe that was the bottom. And that's why we think this nested area is actually comes down to the last day of the year, or the first 2 days in January, where you might actually get that low to come again, or a little bit lower. So that's a look at why we believe that there's probably a higher probability that we're going to take out that low and test it over this next 4 to 7 trading sessions in here before we get to the end of the year. Also, so many stocks are at highs that they're an anticipation of taxes going up in the Biden administration could bring some selling in at the end of the year. So that's important. Let's now go to back to the SPX, and I'm just going to compare weeklies. So I'm doing this a little bit differently than I normally do. We were looking for a dip, as you can see right in here. That's this minor cycle. It started to dip, but that overnight panic really didn't stay down. You saw the reversal we had. Is that the low, or as I showed you on the daily, is it going to come down and test it and get down to that 23%? I think the odds are pretty good it's going to do that, but still it's minor, and then probably making new highs up in here to the 3rd week of January. Again, I'm going to bring all of the I'm going to bring you all of these indicators in here, all of the indexes. We'll look at the Nasdaq, and it looks similar, but again, the Nasdaq looks stronger as we look right in here. And you could see the cycle bottom that came right in here, and then the cycle bottom that is not due out over here until around March 1st. So then you start to talk about, well, there's a bigger decline somewhere out over there. And don't forget, I'm going to do a big picture analysis a week from Friday on all of the markets, so you'll be able to see. So that is a look at the Nasdaq on the weekly, and the Russell has been the strongest. I'm going to show you some other things to confirm that a little bit. And here you can see the Russell has not even had a dip in that period of the minor cycle. So it gives me a sense that the Russell is likely to come down for the next, like I said, 4 to 7 days, or it's 1 to 2 weeks potentially, and make that minor low that we're looking for, and then move up again. And the top of that fib extension zone is way up there at about 270. Again, we're looking at the 3rd week of January for the peak in this market. So you can see very clearly this is the momentum indicator there, and that as is in all of the indexes, is just immensely strong. So as I showed you in the daily, the slim ribbon PO, as I'm showing in the weekly, all momentum is strong. There is no indication of any significant top in here yet. Let's take a look at the VIX. Because the VIX is, I'm going to give you the side-by-side in here so you get a sense for the quality of these markets. There's your weekly, there's your daily. So here is just, we'll look at the harmonic families right in here, and blow this up. So you can see the amazing harmonics that are in there. And what it tells you is that we believe that there was going to be a rally in the implied volatilities sometime in these few weeks, and we got it. But the market is so strong, you can see it. It made this big tail. I mean, you can barely see it right there, and then came right back down in that overnight panic. So there are just, it just shows you the kind of buyers that are still in the stock market. And we did not expect implied volatilities to be able to hold up. I thought it would get to high 20s to maybe 30. It got a little bit above that. And now it really looks like, it's going to be chopping around in here, and maybe even not give you any kind of a big decline, a big rally in applied volatilities for quite a while. So we're going to be looking for a very choppy market. And if it gets more panicky, it'll be different. And this minor cycle over here, which we have pointing down here, will extend higher up in here. And it'll tell us. So right now, implied volatilities are suggestive of the fact that there really isn't, it doesn't look like there is yet a lot of decline in the market. And we're really looking for the biggest decline to come in February and March. And if we're right, you can see this top bigger cycle up here could get you way up close to 40 at some point in that market decline. So that's a look at the weekly. Here you can see the beautiful action here in the daily chart on implied volatilities. Whoops, blow that up. And look at that big tail there as everybody panicked, and then it starts to come down again. So that was just a moment of panic, and it just shows you the kind of buyers that are still in the market right now. And I'm not done, because I really want you to have a better understanding of the conditions and the variance in these individual indexes. So I'm going to bring in here right now a look at the 2-hour chart. So this is the S&P 500, and I want you to see that I'm now bringing in the slim ribbon PO for you to see. And you can see that the S&P 500 is not giving you great signals anymore. So the reason I do this is because there's so many people that trade the indexes. If you're buying, you want to buy the strong one. If you're selling, you want to sell the weak one. So here you could see the slim ribbon PO. Now you got a great reading on the MCI here on the bottom. So it's still showing you that the longer time frames are still keeping the market bullish. That's what this means. Here you could see the slim ribbon right over here laying on top of itself and turning neutral and almost getting ready to turn bearish or red. So you can see here when you look at that on the S&P 500, it's not saying great things about momentum in there. When you look at the Nasdaq on the 2-hour chart, you get a little different story there. As you can see that it actually is giving you positive readings in there, but it still hasn't moved up to a high on this intraday 2-hour chart. The 2-hour chart is our really go-to for directional decisions for the shorter term traders. And when I look at the Russell, you can see right over here, like, holy cow, I got to go all the way back here. look at those readings in there. I mean, it's been screaming at you that it's the strongest index that there is. And there's been never a reason to be short the Russell in here. And if you were a pair trader, you would only be buying Russell and shorting the other one. So you have a great look there at how the intraday can really help you with biasing your positions, especially for the short-term trader, and the Russell clearly the strongest. So I want to give you that really big look at that so you could get a sense for these markets. I just showed you 10 different charts, and they're all basically making a case for the fact that the market is in a time frame where we're, at best going to see some minor declines and then some higher moves in here until the market gives us real signs of failure. That's it. I brought you that extended look at the markets. I hope it was extremely valuable to you, and you can ask me other questions or ask us other questions when we get to the Q&A. Right now, Matt's going to take over, and he's going to bring you a list of FAQs that we know you're going to find interesting.
All right. Thanks, Slim. Good work. Great
Thanks.
analysis and instruction as usual. All right, everybody, I'm going to share my screen. And we should see some helpful tips and answers to FAQs. So I'm going to take one by one here and go through these. These are many of the typical FAQs that we get. And so I'll walk through these. If there are additional questions that you have that are not on here, feel free to email those to me, because we'll be putting together an new FAQ section of the site. We'll include some video overviews. Many of you get those from us already, but we're going to have a nice collection of that put together. So we'll start with a few on the SIR intraday chart grid. So one question that we get very often is, how do we access this grid? Well, there are three key ways that you can do that. Number one is an email. So there is an email that goes out each morning that lets you know when the SIR intraday chart grid is ready for viewing with our new ChartStream platform. The next question is the email sent each morning just a reminder? Do I need to access it for the live stream? It is just a reminder. So with the new ChartStream, unlike Zoom, and I'm going to exit out of here, you are able to go right into the live stream broadcast area and click right on the live stream link. Okay, so this is always here now. So for those of you that are wondering, can I just access the live stream link, or do I have to wait for the email? You do not have to wait for the email. This is ready to go typically by 8:15, usually earlier, but you can probably count on that it's ready to go by 8:15 in the morning Central Standard Time. So again, you do not have to wait for the email. It is here and ready, and it does not change. It is set aside for our level 2, 3, and 4 members. And then the third way that you get access to the intraday chart grid is if you are a level 4 member, you actually get the intraday grid. So if you have any questions on those, please contact me and I'm happy to help out. All right, we'll get back to the FAQs here. What do the blue zones on the SIR intraday chart grid represent? So I'm going to pull up today's grid here. If I memorized where it is amongst all my grids that I have. Okay, please raise your hand if you can see today's intraday grid. All right, good. People raise their hand. Okay, so we get a lot of questions on the colors. Well, especially the blue zones here. So the blue zones, similar to the pink and red resistance areas. So essentially these are resistance areas, and they represent the expected intensity of the resistance area. So the darker color is based on our intraday analysis, and that would suggest an expectation of thicker, if you want to call it, turbulence. So from an analogy standpoint, the lighter color are like clouds and the darker colors are similar to storms. And when we get into those darker colors, we would expect a likely reversal to occur. So the reasoning behind why we have the blue resistance zones instead of the pink and the red is because if that is indicated, that means those are areas that are in blue sky territory, meaning that the indexes are now printing new all-time highs, and therefore it has cleared any price level resistance. And because of this, our projections for these resistance levels are indicated in the blue coloring. So that's why we have the blue zones. Many times we get, is there a resource area for the SIR intraday chart grid? Yes, there is a resource area, and I'll show you where that is. So that is also in your dashboard if you're level 2, 3, or 4 member, and you go into the SIR Livestream broadcast area. You can click on the View Usability Guide link. That'll open up the usability guide. So there are a couple video overviews. There's also a PDF overview here. So if you're new to this or you want to get a refresher, feel free to go to the usability area and check those out. Okay, now we're going to move on to chart streams. So a question that we get often with chart streams is similar to the SIR, and that is, do we need a special email link to access the chart streams each day? The answer to that is no. So chart streams, for those of you that are level 3 and 4 that get the additional chart stream channels, if you go into your chart streams area, these do not require any additional special links. You do not have to wait for the email to come. We've been sending out reminders that the beta testing is available for chart streams, but you do not have to wait for any emails to come. As it says here, this is typically posted between 8:15 and 9 a.m. And you're likely to see everything done by about 8:30, but we have a little cushion during beta. And when we go to market release after we've gathered all of our feedback and really fine-tuned our operations, you can expect to see that done, everything done by 8:30. But realize that these are all done in series. So once we light up the first one, that one's good to go. And then we moved on to the next ones as we fire these up. And depending on market volatility, some of them may be behind by a few minutes so that we can get the most current data plugged into our key levels as we present that information. So that helps to answer the question regarding chart streams. Is there a resource area for chart streams? Absolutely. We have a fantastic resource area for chart streams. You click on the usability resources area, that will take you into our chart streams resource area. And there's plenty of fantastic information in here. We have an indicator glossary. So all of the indicators that you see on our chart streams, which are also many of them are used on most of our charts because those are our custom proprietary tools. And you will find those outlined here in the indicator guide for levels 3 and 4 members, and this can be downloaded. You can see down here, there's a little download symbol. So you can download that PDF, you can print it out, but remember that it's here and that you can scroll down to see all the various indicators that we've outlined for general use, giving you definitions and so on. And then in addition to that, we have playbooks established that go over the specific suggested trade setup guidelines for our near-term outlook chart grid, as well as our short-term outlook chart grid. And so we've got an excellent overview of the guidelines in terms of what you should look for the particular conditions that would suggest a bullish setup or a bearish setup or a neutral setup in terms of mixed signals. So great information there. And then we have actual examples where we took real use cases and demonstrated how the indicators were setting up and what those mean, and in terms of whether there is a valid bullish bearish signal and what time frames you should be looking at. So very good information in there to review. Another question is especially for our newer level 4 members or level 4 members in general. We get asked, do level 4 members get access to the chart streams raw multi-time frame indicator grid and those indicators? The answer is yes. As a level 4 member, you get access to the raw grid. And why is that so important? Well, that would mean that you are able to plug in your own symbol, any symbol. You know, the chart streams right now, which is spectacular in that we provide these 8 channels on the major indexes, the ETFs, and gold. But as a level 4 member, you actually get this raw grid that you can put into your TOS system, and you can pick symbols of your choice and populate our indicators onto those charts on your own. And the question we get is, where is that? Well, if you go into your level 4 dashboard and you scroll down into our chart grid archive. So this is where all the goodies are. So you go in here and you get access to the links for all of our custom information that is set up, in particular, proprietary chart grid for near-term and short-term outlooks that we run our chart streams on. So this grid here is accessible for you, and you would just click on this link and you'll be able to open it up in your own TOS system as a level 4 member. And obviously sharing distribution of these grids are prohibited. They are for level 4 members only. All right. So another one related to our charts is, where do we find the custom annotated TOS daily and weekly askSlim chart grids? And that again is in our dashboard. And you scroll down to Slim's chart grids. If we click on that, you get into the proprietary TOS grids here. I'm not going to scroll down and show them all, but we have all of our 84 focus list symbols here, the indexes and treasuries, currencies, gold, metal, our key stocks that we follow. So all that's down in there. And this is where you'd be able to then import those links into your system. And there is a video overview right here that will explain how to go through and do that process, which once you do it a couple times, it is very easy to do. Okay, that explains that section there. There's a really, really fantastic perk that you get as a level 4 member. And we get this question a lot. And that is, can I request custom analysis from Slim and RV on symbols outside of our focus list of the 84 best traders? And as a level 4 member, the answer is yes. You get the fantastic perk that up to 2 symbols per week, you can request our custom multi-time frame daily and weekly analysis from Slim and RV. And it's just fantastic. It's like having your own, literally your own professional analyst team at your disposal. And you can see we get many of these that come in. So here's an example. Today we got one on Carvana. And I'm just going to pull that one up as an example. So the level 4 member gets to put in the request for their 2 symbols per week. Now there's some stipulations. We want to focus on those symbols that provide us with the best patterns, cycle analysis, technical analysis, obviously, and obviously those that are liquid enough. So if you send us stuff that's typically under maybe $8 or even if the patterns aren't great, we're going to let you know. It's not very often, but we want to focus on those that are really going to provide all of us with the highest probability. So the level 4 member gets the actual grid that they can open up in their system. The cool thing is, for level 3 members, you also get access to all the requests that come in. You don't get the actual grids. The level 4 members get access to the grids, but level 3 members get access to the chart requests. So that's a fun way to check out what other askSlim community members are looking at in terms of their interests and get some great trade ideas as well. Because as you know, all of our charts are set up to help you build out your trading plan in terms of directional bias, timing, key levels, forecasts, and so on. All right, there's our chart request opportunity. Another one we get is what are the main differences, key differences between the Slimulator products? So the Slimulator ranking system and the momentum tracker. So I'm going to go over to the ranking system. This is for our level 3 and 4 members. And this is such a cool tool here for trade planning purposes, where we have our 84 focus list symbols. And what we have done is we've built in our custom algorithms with our key proprietary indicators, our option bias indicator, which is a trend and momentum tool, our short-term momentum indicator. Then this is the main difference. One of our main differences between this product and the momentum tracker is that we also plug into our intermediate time frame our cycle analysis. So this IT in here, the ranking in here includes our cycle analysis, which has, in terms of the weighting, when it comes to the directional bias market outlook, is obviously heavily weighted with this intermediate time frame outlook. So that's why our approximate design intent for the market outlook period, if you're a trader, is 3 to 6 weeks, with the heaviest weight in this intermediate time frame. So that short-term intermediate trader is really where the sweet spot is for the ranking system. And what you can do with this is just so instantaneously click on our directional bias arrow to find those symbols that fit the bias you're looking for your portfolio to dive into that analysis to see if it fits what you're looking for. So it'll immediately sort those that are most bearish, or you can find those that are most bullish based on our custom algorithms here again. And even for those of you that are looking for some more neutral based strategies, just a fantastic tool here, because obviously when you have conflicts going on and indicators, a lot of times you're going to get chopped. And option traders, if you'd like to go after that, this is a great way to find some symbols that are in those types of conditions, and those conditions playing out at the moment. Just real quick too, these also have, our ranking system has our charts. So those charts that are shared with our level 4 members, that can be opened up on their own Thinkorswim platforms. Our level 3 members get to access the static versions of these, which are our daily and weekly charts. Very cool to have that access, and that is in the ranking system. Now I'm going to jump over to the momentum tracker. Our momentum tracker here, as it sounds, this is specifically geared for, right now, is for more of the investor outlook or your position trader, like it says, the 3 months plus. And the other key information here is that there's a couple things that make this very different than the ranking system, is that the algorithms that drive the directional bias and the outlook, are pure momentum indicators. So this is purely a fantastic momentum tool. If you want to find out what the short-term, intermediate, or longer-term momentum is based on our momentum tools, which we use our Slim Ribbon, we use our Reversal Scout, Hall Moving Average. So, and then we have custom algorithms that take combinations of those algorithms to come out with a directional bias then. And just like the ranking system, you can go into the directional bias area and you can sort. So in an instant, you can find those symbols that are setting up either bullishly, bearishly, or have some kind of more neutral based condition. And unlike the ranking system, which is very, very custom with our 84 symbols, you have the ability to plug in more than 1,000 different symbols, and you can request additional symbols. If it's in our library from our data feed provider, we add them in. We recently added in probably about 10 or 15 new symbols, like Zoom. So that one was quite popular and requested, so that one got added in recently. But another really cool feature is the fact that there's all these different canned watch lists that you can go to. So if you want to look at materials, financials, technology, so many of them, world ETFs, or the whole Nasdaq itself at Nasdaq 100. And in an instant, again, you can see where everybody is here in terms of the momentum. It's just obviously a lot of green going on these days. And then you can compare. So we have a momentum ratio pie chart where we give you a sense of what the directional bias is, and you can compare those in the different sectors. Just a ton of great information, again, all designed to help you with your trade planning, and this one particularly with understanding the momentum condition. All right, another one that we get is regarding future speak. So a lot of newer members ask, what is the focus of the future speak show? So I'm going to pull up our future speak minutes here as an example, but future speak is those of you that have a short-term and intermediate outlook, so that 1 to 3 or 3 to 8 week outlook. And this is Slim doing a deep dive into the indexes and major future markets. And I want to say, even more importantly than the short-term and intermediate time frame outlooks that you'll get for your trade planning, is this is probably the best way to learn about our cycle and technical analysis methodology, because you hear it from Slim. This is where it all started, and you get to hear and see him apply it for trade planning purposes across the board in many major markets, and understand the correlations. So it's just a fantastic way. I would recommend that if you're newer to askSlim, that you take a look at a show from start to finish and take notes, and probably do it, at least for the next month. It'd be well worth it. And then obviously then you can jump into our minutes reports once you decide on which symbols are most important to you. And the really cool thing is here, you can click on the symbol you're interested in. So if you're interested in the British pound, You click right on that and you'll be taken right to the analysis, right to the section where Slim talks about that analysis. So again, we try to make our tools be incredibly supportive of trade planning, and not just that, but ultra convenient so that you can do your work efficiently. All right, another question that comes up is, how often are our charts updated? Well, we put in a tremendous amount of time, unbelievable amount of time. I mean, this is more than full time for RV Slim and I. It's an amazing amount of work. It's a passion of love for us to do this work. But we do this every day. So this is reviewed every day. It's updated at a minimum twice per week. So your daily charts and your weekly charts will get your weekly charts updated once, the daily charts likely updated twice. However, depending on market conditions, they'll be updated as often as necessary. Those updates will go into the chart grids area, and you'll see, I'll just go back to that top level area in the Slim chart grids. You'll see here that it'll be indicated when the last time they were updated. All right, and then for the ranking system, once this is completed, then we have to go through a process of uploading it into the ranking system. So that's usually that same day, that same night is usually when that'll get accomplished. So again, those are reviewed daily, updated at a minimum once per week for the weekly chart, and then likely more than, somewhere around twice a week, or as often as necessary, depending on market conditions. All right, just a couple more here. Trade ideas, we get asked, are there alerts that come with the trade ideas? The answer is yes. So for those of you that are new, there's a little bell here, and I'm subscribed to them, right? So when we put out a trade idea that gets initiated, if you subscribe to this, and if you're using a compatible browser, which would be most likely Chrome and Firefox, you'll get instantaneous alerts to let you know that a new trade idea is out. RV does an unbelievable job of keeping us informed. We know when the trade idea is out. We know when it's nearing an entry range. We know when it's nearing a target range. Again, this is all for educational, informational purposes so that you can see how we approach our trade ideas personally. And so yes, alerts are available. And then there's also, I'm just going to go to an older one here, but there are videos and charts that accompany these typically. So it's another fantastic way to learn about our methodology and how we approach trade planning. All right, there's only two left, and that is, where's the workbench? So the workbench is right here. This is a new tool. And as Slim mentioned, we have some really cool trade planning tools that are coming out here. They'll be ready by the first week of the new year is our goal for all of you to start beta testing. And they're going to be awesome tools. But the current workbench is fantastic too, because it provides you with a feed. So you get a live update in terms of whenever we post something, it goes into your feed depending on your level, your membership level, and then you have an opportunity to favorite things that you want to favorite, to keep those in front of you. You can sort by certain categories here. And the final question that has come up of late is, with the holiday specials that are running, if I upgrade, would I get a prorated credit for any remaining membership? And the answer to that is yes. So if you are a free or level 1 or level 2 or level 3 member, and you wanted to upgrade, this is an opportunity, a great opportunity to do that, and you would receive a prorated credit for any remaining membership. All right, I covered a lot. I hope it was helpful, especially for the new people, new members. We appreciate it. And we'll be putting this up on the site, like I said, in January. If you do have other questions, please share them so that we can add them to our list.
All right, great work, Matt. Unbelievable. A number of things that you bring up. So many things, so many questions. I almost forget how much stuff we have on this website.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is crazy, and to think about what's still coming, it just blows my mind.
Yep.
In regard to that, a couple things. There was I don't know if you covered this. Chris asked how a trader gets the slim ribbon on their own TOS charts. Did you cover that one?
They can go to our, we'll be adding in a way specifically for the Slim Ribbon PO. Now remember, the Slim Ribbon PO is reserved for level 4 members. If you're a level 4 member, you can go to our chart grid and chart templates area, and you go into proprietary chart grid for near-term and short-term outlook. And if you import this, it'll import all of the studies with it. So all of our studies you see on here, the slim ribbon PO, the slim ribbon, the reversal scout, the option bias indicator, our MCI, all of that will automatically get imported, and then you can save that study grid for yourself.
Right. So it's level 4 members only.
Right.
Right. Okay. And we have some great comments here in the chat section. I'm just going to share a little bit based on what you've been doing. And Arthur Anderson put up some great charts, some great comments. He says, this is the best, CAP's best education I've ever seen. Clear, simple, and precise. He says he loves it and can't wait to see how his partner enjoys it because he bought him a gift. And he says it's hard to think it could get any better. That's fantastic. He also said you guys should talk about tools for text. The last 4 of them has been outstanding. Not to say the others aren't good, but big light bulb went off, and he'll be watching more of those over the holidays. Just a note to our users out there, we are bringing a new table of contents for access to these things. It'll be a lot easier to find than it is right now. And Tools for Text has got over 80 different videos in there about different tools. So RV has started to do some great ones in there also. So I know that you're going to continue to find it absolutely fantastic. And we had a comment from one more in here. Frank has been asking about chart streams and will it ever be a standalone product without Thinkorswim? Well, it actually already is, right? Because all you have to do is access the channels that we broadcast, and you don't need to have Thinkorswim to see those. It's all through our own broadcasting system, which we did an amazing job developing. And the further question was, will you be able to access any symbol on there? And the answer is no. It's only the ones that we're able to broadcast that we do analysis on. So those are some good questions.
Now on that one, Slim, if you're level 4, you do get the raw grid, which then you could plug in any symbol you wanted into our chart streams.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. I forgot to say that.
Yep.
So that's right. You can actually use that grid that Matt showed you, and then you could put any symbol up on there, but it doesn't have our analysis on there if we don't do analysis. Right. But it has all of our studies on there.
That's correct.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna take over from you.
Great.
And we're still there, and I'm gonna jump to a silver right over here because Vips asked about silver, and his question was, has the analysis in silver changed following yesterday's price action and today's sell-off? Well, the answer to that is no, really. Well, what has changed is that the complex structure on the right was upgraded. And the reason for that was because it came all the way up here to the 161.8 fib extension, which really didn't expect. It was really a huge move in there. So now what you see is this kind of reversal pattern, this long-legged doji, and then this reversal right there. And you can see it really is within the context of the shape of the cycle as it should be. If you look on the weekly right over here, it's in this rising phase right over here. And there's a question in there about the Hull moving average also. So I'm going to answer 2 questions at once. Falcon asked, what's the important use of the tool? Well, we use it for a couple of things. First of all, it's a guide for us for cycle action. So when it peaks right over here and momentum turns negative and it's a momentum tool, then we have a belief that until it tells us something else, it's going to move down through the bottom of the cycle. You could see it bottomed right in here and then turned up right over here. This is bullish. And this is all bullish with all of these cycles rising right there. And the fact that silver might have another week or so to decline over here doesn't make it any less bullish. It's just a correction from this very crazy move that it had on the upside based on the overnight panic that we saw. So they were buying gold like crazy. They were buying the bonds. They were buying things that were flight to safeties, and even the dollar ticking up when we had the overnight panic 2 nights ago, but then it all calmed down, and then silver came down to reality. But it's really, in our opinion, going to be a strong buy in here, somewhere around that $25 area probably. So I don't think it's changed at all. further, Falcon, I'm going to go back to your question on the whole moving average, and that you asked, does it matter if the price is below or above the MA? We don't really use it for that. And yes, the color changes do signify, green when it be positive. I'm colorblind, so this is like blue or purple. I can't really tell. And that's how we get some really good read on it. You can see in here, it wiggled a little bit. It was positive the whole way up. And that's what we do. We will look for momentum. And that's why we developed the momentum tracker, the Slimulator rankings. Those are all based on momentum. And if you're not tracking momentum, there's a risk that you will not be profitable, or you will not be as profitable as you can be, because there's nothing else for us as traders anymore. All the other edges were taken away. So I think that's really what's really important. So I answered VIPs in there, and I answered Falcon in there at the same time. I hope that answered it for you. Now I'm going to call on RV, because we're talking about these, silver being bullish still. And RV, would you take this over and show them a couple of these silver stocks so they get an idea of the condition of those, which had a big rally?
Sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of these. We'll look at, let me make sure that you guys can see this.
Yep.
Okay, chart here. So Hecla is in a really nice pattern here. You can see it's just been selling off, going basically down for the past, like 3 years or so, and then has now made this low that's obviously higher than that prior low, and is very early right here. So we will look for this to really push up further, and we're looking for a move up into this area up here. So this is a really nice pattern overall. If we can look at PAAS. We just looked at this one here, also very early, right? So, oops, sorry about that. Having some trouble with my cursor here. So very early here, and you can see that we would look for further moves up here, up into this zone up here, 40, low, this area up here, like 40, 80 up to like 43 half-ish. So that's really what we're looking for. So this should move back on the upside, very, very soon. So we can look at one other one here, FSM. I like this pattern a lot. Yeah, it's basically going sideways here. And if it moves through this area, we could look for a move up into that area right there. So this is a pretty nice pattern, and overall very, very early in this new move here on the weekly time frame. So very, overall a very nice pattern here.
That's
in
great. That's great.
Well.
I love that. That's like a rectangle pattern that just
yeah,
looks beautiful.
Right. Rectangle, box, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Measured move out of that box would be 10-15ish. So that's
look how
really
well
nice pattern to watch for.
Look at how well it follows the silver cycle on the bottom. The silver is that dashed line down there, and
right.
It's
Overlap.
just the importance of following the associated commodity when you're dealing with commodity stock, and these look so much better than the gold stocks do right now.
Gold stocks don't look great at the moment. No.
Yeah, they're going to need to get a revival. Right.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks for that. Great stuff,
Sure.
Harvey.
Sure.
All right. So we're going to get, I'm going to take this back here for a second. I'm going to put up, we have a question on Tesla. So it's not really on analysis, but I'll just put this chart up here so we get a good look at it. I don't have the right, there we go. Okay. And daily post split. There we go. So there's the Tesla. The question, I thought I'd just put it up while we talk. You can see, of course, we all know the Tesla's been one of the most amazing stocks of the year, essentially up some 800%. So it's been just absolutely crazy. The question is, how do I think Tesla is affecting the S&P 500? First thing is that, of course, Tesla was just added Monday to the S&P 500. So in my opinion, the greatest effect of Tesla to the S&P 500 already happened, because all of the allocation changes that had to occur as Tesla came in, they had to buy that for the index funds. And then the index funds had to lighten up 499 other positions, basically. And maybe there's some they didn't quite have to. I don't know for sure. It was but I guess they did probably every one. So all that selling that you saw come in partially was related to Tesla coming into the market as a member of the S&P 500. It actually replaced Google as the fifth weighted. It's now fifth weighted of the S&P 500. So Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, those are the top four, and then Tesla. And when you think about Tesla's weighting in the S&P 500, it presently weights 1.69% of the S&P 500. That, of course, when you think about it in context of the whole index, it's not actually that much, Steve. So it's just going to affect it similarly to how these other big stocks do, and overall, really not that much. And Tesla, you can see in our analysis in here, we're looking for a pullback over the next week and a half. And then getting another rally. Interestingly, that's in alignment with what we believe is likely to happen in the market. So that is a look at Tesla. The next question is about this is an interesting question, and it comes from Ray, and he's asking about SPACs and the fact that they're coming to the market. So SPACs are special purpose acquisition companies. If you think about a mutual fund, the mutual fund invests in, a lot of companies. Mutual funds might have 30 positions, they might have 100 positions or more. And so they invest in companies. When you think about an ETF, okay, so it's essentially an index that represents some basket of some things. And when it comes out, you can invest in the ETF, which you're investing in little pieces of a lot of things. When or in this case, in the case of the index ETFs, you're just investing in a single index. When you think about a SPAC is an acquisition company. So they are created for the purpose of buying out other companies or large investment in other companies. And that means that they are going to have an IPO. They're going to come out and people are going to invest in nothing. Well, that essentially is the world that we live in right now, because people are buying air in a lot of the valuations in these companies. SPACs have been around for decades. It's not like they're brand new. It's just that all of a sudden they're becoming popular because the stock market has gone insane. So this is basically the right time for that insanity to grow into SPACs. You can invest in a company that's going to buy out another company or other companies, and the reflection of those earnings is going to actually be the bottom line. And when you think about Berkshire Hathaway, you could actually do that with the brilliance of who they are and not have to do it with these unknown managers and the decisions that they're going to make. Like VCs, they're like VCs, but they're going to be in public companies. So I hope that explained them. And when you decide to buy an IPO in a SPAC, I can only caution you to be really careful, because you're buying air. You have no idea what they're going to do at all. And it's going to potentially be years and years before you really know how you're going to do in something like that. So Ray, I hope that answered the question for you. It's not something that I'm all that interested in, but you asked a really good question. Terry is asking for my analysis on TLT and crude oil. So remember that tomorrow is Future Speak. So I'm going to be giving that tomorrow on Future Speak. I haven't quite updated all of these charts yet. So I'll just bring you what I had as of the last update. TLT right here. Bring up the weekly here and the daily right here. And I'll be updating these charts early in the morning for our members. They haven't really changed in here much, as you can see. If you look on the right, you can see that we're supposedly supposed to be in a rally phase right now, but it hasn't really been able to rally. So I can't get get it to blow up right now. Let me get a little closer look right over here and right over here. So you can see the cycle harmonics on the right, those 3 minor cycles that make up the bigger one. And you could see we're actually in a rising phase on the weekly on the left. So what that says to me is that you're going to have a lot of sideways chop. Ultimately, if the market panics and falls into late February, early March, as we believe, you'll probably get a bid to safety into that same period. Here's the timing right over there. And then there's a lot of risk in here. And I think we're in a bond bear market. So right now it looks to me like a lot of sideways chop when you look at TLT. Oil /CL. Again, I have not updated this yet, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. And it only needs a minor update. As you can see, it came up and tagged the fib extension right up over there. That's the 61.8, and then started to roll over, which is not really a surprise. It tagged the 38.2 intermediate fib extension right there and began to roll over. These are not particularly bearish patterns just because they rolled over. But if we end up losing the momentum, then we'll start looking at that. Right now, momentum's still strong in here, as you could see right here on the slim ribbon, on the Hull moving average there, the slim ribbon here, the buy signals coming right here on the slim ribbon PO, and all of that is giving you still a bullish condition, though it looks a little toppy in that area. We would kind of expect it to try to get up there again. You know, when it was down over here and we saw the triangle and we saw this formation, we said it was going to go up 48.5, 49. So it came up and tagged our target, and I think that was really a pleasant thing to see happen. Bill R is asking for Moderna, mRNA. I don't have that. Do you, RV?
No, I don't have it. No, mRNA.
Should I give it a shot?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know what is going on here. I'm having trouble blowing up these things because I've got the Zoom thing in the way. Come on. That's annoying. So here is Moderna. Interesting. Trying to get the this thing to go away so I could blow this up. Let me see if I can move it down here and do it. There we go. Okay. So here we are. Moderna, of course, blew up to the upside because of the analysis, because of the vaccine. Really never looked at this before, just not anything that we would normally follow. So what first thing we do when we do this analysis is we try to look for where there are some significant lows in here and see if we can line up any cyclical patterns at all. I'm just going to grab what do I want to grab? Let me just grab a little oval right over here. So we see a low right over here. RV, let me know if you see anything that I'm not seeing. So there's a low right there. There's a low right over here.
Then maybe February, like late February, mid-February, yeah, down there, and then
right over
that lines
there,
up
right?
okay. Mm-hmm.
Not sure how they
Outside
line
of
up
that,
here.
it's
So
tough. Yeah,
it's tough. Once you go back real far and it's a real cheap stock, things really change. So now I'm going to grab the whoops, that's not what I want. I'm going to grab the cycle bracket right here, and we're going to go from this low and see what we line up in here to that low. That one's a little bit off. That kind of looks like it. Would you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So either this is late low forming or something similar to that.
Not very late actually.
Yeah,
You can
like
see
maybe a
that
couple weeks.
this cycle right over here
Mm-hmm.
looks like it takes on a bullish configuration. It's above that low.
Mm-hmm.
This cycle right over here is pretty clear. It actually comes down right to here.
Mhm.
You can see those cycles right in there. I can't really see where the low is right there. It's something like in here. There's a low right there at 1154, so you could see. So it comes in somewhere here. These are small, a little smaller. So that's where it gets really tough to read when it becomes a cheap stock. And then this one right over here is it panicked in a huge way on the upside based on that. And now it looks like it's a little bit late on the downside. You can see that. So we would expect that it would turn up somewhere right in here. Seeing anything different?
No, that's what I have too, as I was drawing it just now.
Oh, you were okay.
Mhm.
So you can see right there, there's your support zone there that comes in between the 38 and the 50. There's your swing high, swing low analysis, with this being your support zone basically right there. How did that projection go? Did you do that one?
No, I haven't done that one yet. No.
Looks like a 161.8, 261.8, close to it. You see that?
Mm. Wow. Yep.
So that got up to that projection. This big top right in here kind of looks like it's not going to do better than that. This is a big evening star and that big rejection. So I would basically think that this cycle right over here, you could expect that it's going to try to rally, but then fail, even though it's such a bullish configured cycle. Would you agree with that?
Right. And then roll back down into the
You know,
next
so
low
we could do another
March-ish,
swing high,
yeah.
swing low. This is under the assumption that the low is made right over here.
Mhm.
Right, and then your resistances come in right at this point. Here's your 61.8.
Yep.
Now you guys know why it takes us hours and hours to do these things, because we do this on so many charts, it's crazy. So somewhere in there is the resistance that we're putting right in there. And I would expect that it would be able to bounce in there once it makes that low. And then because of this big rejection, somewhere in there would be where it would fail. So I hope that was clear. It gave you a little bit of a sense for what we do and how we go through this. And of course, if you take the cycle analysis workshop, you'll be able to see that. Steve Soa asks a question, and that is, gold and silver has always been a weak point in my trading. The up and down moves seem to come out of nowhere. Why is gold and silver so hard to trade, or is it just me? Well, I've got two answers to that. First of all, there were stocks that I traded in my career where I just couldn't make money in them. As a matter of fact, IBM was one of them. In the first 8 months of trading, I was trading in the IBM pit on the CBOE. And every time I'd make money in other things, I would lose it back in IBM. And my dad would say to me, why don't you just not trade IBM? So maybe that's the answer, is don't trade things that you are not, comfortable in. We all have our comfort levels in different vehicles that we can trade. The other part of that is that if you trade it really small, just for feel, don't worry about making or losing money. At some point, it might come to you. Now, IBM eventually became a very big winner for me as I finally figured out how to trade it. And every single, remember, a stock, the way a stock trades is the sum total of the psychological consciousness of all the people involved in it. And there are different personalities that different stocks or commodities have. So it might not be a great fit for you. Or it might be that you just have to trade it smaller and trust that at some point you're going to get the feel, and trade it small enough that the money doesn't matter. It's just about learning. I hope that was helpful to you. Doug asks for a quick comment on Bitcoin. I know you'll go over it in Future Speak. So I can wait. Yeah, I'm going to go over it tomorrow in Future Speak. Bitcoin to me is in a very choppy area. I've been talking about a wide range. I had it at 16,000 to 22,000, but it blew through to 24,000. And there's so much adoption going on in there right now that I don't really know. I think it's a big farce, to tell you the truth. And I think that there is unlimited amount of cryptocurrencies that can be and will be printed. or created. I've got printing in my mind. So there's going to be a giant shakeout at some time, and then we'll figure out what who the real survivors are and what the real value of cryptocurrencies are when you get full adoption out there. And the governments are going to come down on them at some time, and there's hints of that actually going on right now. So we're going to continue to see very, very wide swings. I think that this whole thing about it going to 100,000, somebody just said 650,000 for Bitcoin. So I just wonder when they're going to lock him up again. So that's the what I have, and I'll bring that tomorrow. Lawrence says, and we're just going to wrap up with these last two questions. Are we seeing rotation back to the stay-at-home stocks due to the virus scare? I think Steve's question also is in that regard, because he says, do you have any analysis on Peloton? I actually don't have any analysis on Peloton right now. If you're a level 4 member, you can send us a request on that, and Arvi and I will do that analysis for you. And if you're not a level 4 member, well, step it up. Lawrence, the rotation in the stay-at-home stocks because of this virus scare, I think, is temporary, to tell you the truth. I think they've seen the best of it. There's a few of them that are going to continue to do well, but even have corrections. Zoom might be in that category. Etsy is really planting some really good roots in here for the cottage industry of people selling things. So those stocks, after pullbacks, may actually be real, as their earnings really look like that's going to be the case. But I think most of them are going to be, in the next several months, starting to look at the end of the virus, even if it's a year away. The investors will get way ahead of that. And I think this uptick now is just temporary. That is it. Man, did we cover a lot. This was the express round, and I need to take a breath. Guys,
Fantastic work. That was great.
Great job.
Excellent show. Great. Everybody came.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon. Slim, wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, RV. Always great to have this amazing team working with me. I hope everybody got their questions answered. Remember that if you're a level 3 member, you can ask questions. If you're a level 4 member, you can ask for chart analysis. And that's what we love to do, is to make you better at what you do, because your success is our success. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for it. That's it.